Everybody, it is the Monday, August 21st, 2024 special council meeting agenda. And we always want to start it off in a good way by acknowledging these lands, which are the unceded and traditional territories of the Kwantlen, Katzie, Mathaqui, and Semiahmoo First Nations. We have an agenda in front of us, and I have a proposed amendment I'd like to make, just an item 2C, which is MLA update. It'll be 5 minutes if folks are okay. And, before we entertain moving in amended agenda, I just want to check if anybody else has any changes they'd like to make. So seeing none, I will move the amended agenda, and I'll see if there's a seconder. Seconded by Councillor Albrecht. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? So that's carried unanimously. We're on to our committee of the whole. I'll move that the committee of the whole commence, and we'll look for a seconder. Councillor James, further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? So that's carried unanimously. And we're on to item 2A. And just as a note, I'll be texting Councillor Mack once this part is done, and then we'll let her into the meeting. So over to you, Mr. Pollock.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pahal. Just wanted to give Council a brief update on the status of the Fraser One-Way. The early works are well in progress, and including the construction layouts and the site setup. Council will be aware of the work that's occurring on 206 Street. That's the sanitary sewer is nearly complete, and then they will move on to the water main on that section of roadway. After the work on 206 is finished, then they'll move on to the one-way itself. That's scheduled to start in January of 2025. There is a somewhat of an issue with BC Hydro and them providing approved drawings for their portion of the works. The BC Hydro undergrounding is an integral part of this contract. So we have to go through a process with them to make sure that we get the appropriate construction drawings issued. We have the consultants working extremely vigilantly to move that process along, but BC Hydro has a process and they will follow it. The one concern at this point in time is that the hydro installation on 206 Street is on the critical path in early November. So we do believe that we will get this issue resolved in a way that will not create any delays to the project, but it is a risk that we're working through. The contractor is still in the process because we don't have the final approval from BC Hydro. And when I say that the final, we don't have the final approval. We have, when the contract was issued back in the earlier part of this year, the design was substantially complete, enough for the contractor to price the job appropriately. But this is actually just going through the BC Hydro process for their staff to approve the drawings, work it through their process, so we can issue them a check to say, so that we can purchase the necessary plant and equipment just to complete that. So, it is a concern, as it is in any project, but we do believe it's a manageable risk at this point. So we are also today just finalizing the list of businesses that are interested in participating in the liaison committee. We've got both the DLBA and the Chamber of Commerce are going to participate, along with we've offered it out to 7 different businesses. 4 of those businesses have responded to date, and we just sent an email out today just to remind them that if they're interested, we'd love to have them on board. So the work is certainly underway, and there are no indications that there'll be any impact to the overall schedule at this juncture. However, we'll certainly keep an eye on that, and in our next phase, or in our next update to council in about a month's time, we'll be able to give you more detail on the schedule moving forward. that would be my update to this point, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we see if there's questions from council, I just wanted to know, how is the email list going, or when will we expect that online and ready to go?
My concern is I really want to get a better handle on the schedule, just so that we know before we put that out. But I do anticipate that being finalized very shortly and moving forward. Thank you.
Perfect. I'll just open it up to council. Councilor White.
Thank you, Mayor Bahal. To Mr. Pollock, just a quick question. I understand the critical time around early November. When would be the cutoff time when we need to potentially take other actions prior to running it right up to that period of time?
Yeah. Through the chair, Councillor White, the interactions with Hydro and the representatives are ongoing. What we would typically do, and as the situation progresses, then the contractor will look at alternate schedule and look at an alternate. They will also look at the order of the work that they could do. So if need be, readjust their schedule of work to do another task before they would go back to the Hydro piece. The contractor would certainly like to have their work on 206 complete, rather than having to go back to it at some point in the future. But if things were not moving forward in a timely manner, that might be something that we would have to consider. But I have had extensive discussions with our project managers and the contractor, and they do not anticipate any impact upon schedule at this point. Thank you.
Is there any other questions from council? So I am seeing no other questions. We really appreciate the update. And so we'll let you go, and we'll move on to the next item. Thank you so much. So we're on to item 2B, which is the business improvement area. And we have a presentation from Mr. Light. Welcome.
Thank you. Are we waiting for Councillor Mack? Or?
She should be here, I think.
I let her in, and it looks like she's joining.
Oh, perfect. Yes, she's here.
Great. Thank you.
Well, let's maybe we'll wait one. There she is. We'll wait for the audio to connect. Sorry, Mr. Light.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mayor and Council. So I was asked to speak to you today about the business improvement area of the authorization and revenue collection process. So included in the agenda package is our current 10-year bylaw that establishes the business improvement area, which is run by the Downtown Langley Business Association. The bylaw runs through to 2029. It's a 10-year plan. The community charter outlines the requirements of establishing a BIA, and the relevant sections were included in your agenda package as well. The DLBA was actually first initiated in 1999. As the city initiated the current bylaw, the 10-year bylaw, the property owners had an opportunity to petition against. The petition would have to be signed by 50% of the business owners who hold at least 50% of the assessed value of the properties within the BIA boundaries to stop City Council from establishing a BIA. Each year, the city then includes on the Class 6 business property tax notices a levy to collect the money identified in the bylaw. So in 2024, it was $652,744. And we used, it's to be used to fund a business promotion scheme. Prior to the BIA in the mid-1990s, going back a few years, the city undertook a downtown revitalization program, a $2.5 million project that included installing ornamental streetlights, red bricks, sidewalks, curbs, and gutters in the downtown area. The specified area levy was then funded 50% by the downtown business properties. So the business owner's portion of that was funded by borrowing through the MFA to pay for the revitalization, and then they were charged on the property owners the cost of the borrowing over a 10-year period. So that work was probably the impetus to establish the BIA through the Downtown Langley Business Association, because it was prior to the BIA. And that is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I guess briefly, what sort of role is there within the city between a BIA and the city besides the bylaw for the raising of funds?
So they provide us with financial statements annually, as well as a budget on how they're going to spend the funding. But other than that, it's basically they have a petition to us to collect the money on their behalf, and then we go through it and collect it for 10 years.
Got it. So there's really no control we have beyond the bylaw, which is every 10 years, and then it's up to the property owners really if they want to go for it or not.
Correct.
Okay, cool. So I think we do have a question, Councillor Wallace.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to thank Mr. Light for his presentation, because it was a lot easier than reading all the information we got. So it was a good synopsis and the history part. So thank you, Mr. Light.
Yeah, I appreciate the history. I didn't know it was a loan for the red bricks and Generation 1 turquoise lights. I think we're on Generation 3 lights this time. Ms. Kenny.
Thanks, Mayor Pahal. The only thing that I wanted to provide clarification on, in case anyone was interested. So unlike the other local service area bylaws, which may be adopted either through the assent process, which is a referendum, or by petition against, the only approval process by which a BIA bylaw can be adopted is by petition against. And that's because under the assent process, there's no corporate vote. And so that would mean that many of the businesses, if the owners didn't live in the city, would not have a vote. So just wanted to provide that clarification.
Makes sense. Thank you so much. Any other questions? So I'm not seeing any. Again, I appreciate it. And of course, if anybody on council has any questions, they can send you an email or come and visit you in your office. So thank you again, Mr. Light. So that puts us on to item 2C, which is MLA update. So as you are likely aware, we had a change of MLAs this weekend. So MLA Andrew Mercier is no longer our MLA, and I think he did a great job in serving our community for his 4-year term. Certainly appreciate the work that he did for us. We have a new MLA now, so MLA Judy Torr is our MLA. I have reached out to her and said hello and congratulations on being our new MLA. I did offer to go for a coffee with her, in which she accepted. So in the next week or so, I will do that just to, make that connection, introduce her to Langley City. And then it's my plan to give her the opportunity to speak to us as a council so that we can get to know each other. So I just wanted to provide that brief update just to keep you all in the loop. So again, I'll see if there's any questions from anybody on council. Okay, I am seeing none there. It's a quiet bunch today. So I'll just move that the committee rise and report. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Albrecht. See if there's any other discussion. So seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? So that's carried unanimously. We are on the motion to hold a closed meeting, that the council meeting immediately following this meeting be closed to the public as the subject matter being considered relates to items which comply with the following closed meeting criteria specified in Section 90 of the Community Charter. 2B, the consideration of information received and held in confidence relating to negotiations between the municipality and a provincial government or the federal government or both, or between a provincial government or the federal government or both and a third party. Is there a mover? So moved by Councillor White, seconded by Councillor Mack. Further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? So that's carried unanimously. I will move that this meeting adjourn, seconded by Councillor James. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried unanimously. Do we just want to jump into the next meeting link? Yeah? Any opposition to that? Nope. But I will see you in that other link.